that's a
bad move.
Oh, we're going to be...
bad move, and I shouldn't have played that game. My last game I shouldn't have played.
25 minutes.
Okay. I took a painkiller and I should have done
25 minutes is our aim, always. Unless there's a really great conversation happening and we really don't want to cut it because it's going really good, then Jordan's got the green light to go a few more minutes, right? But he gets a signal in about 20 minutes and then he kind of feels it out from there, right? If you run out of questions at 20 minutes, then you cut it down. If you're still going and you've got a couple great questions, you're going to keep going for a few more minutes, right?
Do you guys get the audience involved at all?
Well, we get them laughing and applauding if
no, I mean like questions, if they might have a question.
We haven't in the past, but if we...
I'm just saying that, I'm just saying, sorry.
We could.
This is how hey? If you work on media, man, you start taking over. Sorry.
That's
welcome to my show.
That's a great idea for the live.
My special guest, Jordan.
That's a great idea for the live. Maybe we'll keep the live streaming going. If at the end you've got any questions, you want to ask a question, here's what we're going to do. That's a great suggestion. Okay, for the live show, I won't put it into the other broadcast. Just raise your hand and say, I've got a question. What we're going to do is actually have you come up on camera, live, and ask the question. Does that sound?
Yes, sir? Yes, ma'am?
So,
yes, sir.
well, anybody who's already signed it, that general form, has already signed that up, right? At the beginning of the year. So, some of them haven't? Okay. So, that'll be for anybody up here that has already done that at the beginning of the year. All right? And you know if you haven't signed that form. Yeah.
For protection of media, right?
Yeah, you can ask the question and not come up if you haven't signed it. Yeah. Okay. So that's a new wrinkle. We'll try it out and see if we have anything going that way. Otherwise, are you streaming? Mm-hmm. Okay, we're streaming. So Heather's up. Camera, go.
Start recording in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello folks, welcome back to the Jordan411 Sports Show. And actually today the show has been in the works for 3 years now. His name is Chris Walby. He went to St. John's High School and didn't play football until he was in grade 12, and he won 3 Grey Cups in 1984, 1988, and 1990. Please give a warm welcome to number 63, Chris Walby.
Jordan, thank you for having me, first off. And secondly, I have to say, and I said this when I met you at the door today, you are one of the most persistent men I've ever met in my life. I get about 10 to 15 emails every day, and probably 13 are from Jordan. And he's been pestering me for 3 years. I finally said, okay. And then he said to me finally, he said, okay, send me a couple dates. You can't turn me down anymore. There's got to be one of these dates that works. We made it work today. I'm glad to be here finally. I apologize for dragging us on for too long, but I was kind of enjoying your emails. But it's nice to be here finally, Jordan.
Thank you. First I want to start off, why did you decide to wait to play football until you were in grade 12?
Wow. Well, first off, I didn't really, football was my second thought. I didn't really think I was going to play football.
Hockey.
I played hockey. A lot of people played hockey. I played hockey. And I ended up playing for a junior A hockey team, Manitoba Junior Hockey League, against teams like the Selkirk Steelers, the Blues, and all these teams. But my team was the West Kelowna North Stars, who are no longer in functioning anymore. We folded. And I played hockey till I was 20. And then I had an unfortunate incident in a hockey game, which resulted in, well, how do I put this politely, not being allowed to play hockey anymore. You know, hockey back when I played was in the 78s, I guess, 78, 77. For those of you, if you ever go back and you look at an era, it was called the Broad State Bullies area. It was the Philadelphia Flyers, a lot of fighting. And
good area.
And not only was I a pretty face and a goal scorer, but I did fight a little bit. And unfortunately, it caught up to me, and we had a bench clearing brawl in the game against the Dauphin Kings. These two teams back on the ice. And my head coach, who's in the Hall of Fame for hockey, Greg Lacombe, who coached at the University of Manitoba, he was our head coach. He was suspended and I was suspended. And he should not have been suspended. They should have let the series go on, but they should have suspended me. But I didn't start the fisticuffs. They brought a guy up who had never played before, and he challenged me, and that was, anyway, it didn't work out too good for him. But needless to say, I had to find a new career. So football became my passion, and I started to play football, and you know, I wasn't very good, I'll be honest with you. I tell kids all the time, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. Because I was probably same height I am now, but I weighed 180 pounds. So very, very skinny. I could slide under a door.
So you went from hitting people to hitting people.
Oh, now you're stealing all my lines. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I did actually, tell you the truth. But actually, it's funny because when got a scholarship down in the States at a school called Dickinson State. It's in North Dakota by Montana, South Dakota, in the Badlands. And I was a defensive lineman all the time. I never played offensive line. I only played defensive tackle, which meant I was going after the quarterback, for those of you who don't play the game, or I was going after the running back. And having said that, they moved me when I came to Winnipeg, because I started off in Montreal. And I played with guys like Billy White Shoes Johnson, Vince Ferragamo, a lot of old guys, movie stars, good-looking people. And I ended up coming to Winnipeg halfway through the year, and then played the next 16 years here. So, yeah, it was crazy.
How was, well, I was doing my research,
Yeah.
and I found out that you got the phone call that you've been traded from your dad.
Well, you know, it's
How
cut,
was that
Jordan.
experience?
That's not bad. Pretty close.
Pretty fun.
Back then, you couldn't contact. I couldn't phone you. If you were on the block, I couldn't phone you because that's called tampering. I was still the property of Montreal. So they went the back door through my sister and my dad and said, you know what, they're basically cutting you and you weren't getting told. They were forging my name on a contract. As a result, I was a free agent and I didn't know about it. And they said, we got a ticket for you at the Trudeau Airport. Come to Winnipeg, we'll sign you the contract. And I had the worst sleep of my life. I tossed and turned all night. I was living with 5 guys on the St. Lawrence Seaway in Montreal. I loved it. Loved Montreal. I was a young kid. The nightlife was fantastic. I was single. It was just a great time, but I wasn't happy with how they were treating me, so I ended up coming to Winnipeg, and rest is history there, big guy.
Yeah. How was your first reaction of Winnipeg when you first landed here?
Well, I'm from Winnipeg. I grew up in the North End, so
Oh, yeah.
I'm St. John. So I was coming home, and so it was kind of neat because, you know, my family was here. I have 2 sisters. I don't have any brothers. I told you, you're very lucky to have a brother, a twin brother at that. Two brothers. Oh,
One
well,
little
why don't you just rub
one.
it in already? 2 brothers. I got 2 sisters, and let me tell you, it ain't no treat living with 2 sisters. I'm telling you right now.
How was getting into the bathroom?
I didn't even know we had a bathroom at the time, right? Just a bucket of snow out back. So what else you want to ask me there, big fella?
I'll ask you about your breakout. How did you, when you were in the 1984 breakout, you were down 17 points.
Yeah.
What was your first reaction being down that much?
Fear. Unbelievable. Well, that was the year that we traded our quarterback, Dieter Brock, to Hamilton for Tommy Clements. But our backup at the time was Johnny Huffnagel, who is now the general manager of the Calgary Stampeders.
And a very good GM.
And a very good GM, but one guy who made me very angry one night, so I hung him on a coat hook and left him there. Yeah, he was different, but so go down, we're down I think 17 to nothing, no, 17-3 I believe. And then Huffnagel went in, Johnny Huffnagel went in and took us down, and then Tommy Clements came back in because he left the game because he lost his contact lens. Anyway, we end up scoring a bunch of points and end up winning that game big time. But I always tell everybody, when you're going to the Grey Cup, it's kind of the coolest thing in the world. Obviously, you're playing for a championship, which is what you dream of. But the game before that was against the dreaded BC Lions in the West Final. And BC at that time had like 60,000 fans at every game, and you could not hear. It was deafening. So I'd have to hold the hand of my offensive lineman, and when he moved, I would move. I had no idea, because you can't hear the snap count. So our coach at the time was named Cal Murphy, very famous coach, who's no longer with us, rest in peace, Cal. But he decided he's going to be ingenious, and he took all our helmets, and he said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put listening devices and receivers in your helmet, so when Tom Clements, our quarterback, spoke, I would be able to hear him. So they sent our helmets on, and we got them back the night before the game. Well, as it turned out, does anybody ever watch the Flintstones? Remember the old cartoon, the Flintstones? Do you remember Kazoo? Well, that's what our helmets fit like. We put it on, they sat up about this high because we had all this recording equipment in our helmets that didn't fit. So not only did our helmets not work, but they already were messed up. So we had to play the game against a very good team in BC, a team we hadn't beaten, with new helmets the next day. And anybody that's played football or any sport, when you get comfortable to your equipment, it's really tough when you got to change it. So, and then they did something that really upset me. Before the game, Nick Hebler and James Quick Parker slid a piece of paper under our dressing room door, because our doors were across the hall at BC Place. And it said, come join the Lions for our Grey Cup victory parade. So it didn't go very well. So we had guys like James West, Tyrone Jones, two of the best linebackers I ever played with. They started getting angry. Instead of hitting the wall, they started hitting each other, getting themselves ready. But we came out and probably played one of our best games that we ever played that year and beat them to go to the Grey Cup. So as much as I love the Grey Cup and beating Hamilton, I think the game is sometimes the games that get you to the Cup are pretty exciting.
How was like the week of the Grey Cup? Was that a cool experience?
The week of the Grey Cup is the biggest party, right? Grey Cup is a party in Canada. It really is. It's like, it's called Canada's party. But having said that, there are certain places that I don't want the Grey Cup. One was in BC, because we would walk around town and there was no advertisement. You couldn't even tell there was a game. As a matter of fact, we were in the playing. What Grey Cup did we win in BC? Well, that was when we beat Edmonton. Sorry. That would be this one, 1990. And we're in BC Place, and they take us to this place to introduce us to the fans. And as we're there, Jordan, we get up on stage, and everybody's booing us. And I'm thinking, well, I guess they don't like the Bombers. Well, it turned out we were interrupting a senior bingo game. So all these seniors were so upset that they couldn't finish their bingo game, and they got these big guys on their stage. They're like, get off, boo, get out of here. We're thinking, man. But we found it was about bingo. So, yeah, quite humorous, actually.
What did you do when you're not playing football? What was your favorite thing to do?
I like how you talk about sports.
Inappropriate.
No.
Not clean, let's say that.
No, you know what? I'm a cabin guy, and I found out you guys got a place at the same place we do, which is out in Petersfield. And so I'm at the cabin pretty much all summer. I wish I could go in the winter. I'm getting a little stir crazy with this weather. I'm tired of the cold weather. I'm tired of the snow. But, I think that I might surprise you. I like reading, which is kind of crazy, right? But I do enjoy reading. I'm a social cat, though. I just like getting around. I like being around people. That's what, coming and talking to you today. It's kind of fun because my kids have heard my stories enough. So, I'll have a few Borgias, and they're like, enough, Dad. We don't want to hear that story again. But I'm, no, come on. Let me tell you about when Dad, enough. Okay. So it's kind of nice to be able to tell these people, these young kids who don't know who I am.
What's your best story of your career? Like your best moment?
I think it was the '84 Grey Cup, even though I kind of poo-bought it already. When we came back, I think the weirdest thing was if you watch that game, and that's funny because I've never watched the Cups. I've never watched that game since.
Oh, really?
None of my games. I've never watched them because it bothers me to see it. Because I'm critical. And I'll see, that was a horrible play by you, man. What were you doing there? So I kind of just enjoy the moment. But I think it was like fourth quarter, and it was a soft snow coming down. And I remember thinking I was like in a snow globe. You know those snow globes you shake?
Yeah.
It just felt magical. And we had a pretty good lead at the time, and I thought, we are going to win this game. We're going to win a cup. This is the first Grey Cup Winnipeg had won in 20-something years. So it was really special. It was just, and all those guys I still see, like we keep in contact. Unfortunately, we've lost a number of them. But having said that, the guys that are still around, it's nice to get together with them and just share some memories.
How was Dieter as a quarterback?
Dieter Brock was our first quarterback. He's the strongest guy I've ever met as a quarterback. He threw a football so hard it stuck in Vernon Paul, who was a fullback, stuck in his face mask. So you don't really see that happen. But you know, there was a line somebody said, and I think it might have been Jack Wells, who was one of the old announcers. He said that he could throw a ball through a car wash without getting it wet. He had that kind of an arm. Yeah, he was. I just did something with Dieter. He came into town. We did something at Princess Auto, and yeah, he's crazy. But we had a lot of crazy quarterbacks.
How was Matt Dunnigan?
Dunnigan? Well, Matt Dunnigan was a different cat too. I love Matt Dunnigan, but he's a pretty boy. You know, we used to have old line parties, and I had a pool in the backyard at the time, and so all the old line would come over with their girlfriends or their wives or their kids. But you know, the old line we're not like fashion. You know, we're
big man.
We're big man. We wear boxers. We wear long, and he shows up in a Speedo. Right? So, you know, we're having to tell our girlfriends, hey, over here. And I'm not kidding. He had a Speedo with hearts on. That was how bad it was, right? Oh, it was quite Matt Donnigan's a different. But you know what? I gave him the nickname Peacock because he was that good of a quarterback. He was he was with us for a couple of years, and we went to the Grey Cup 2 times with him. We both lost, but having said that, in '93, if he was not hurt, we would have definitely won a Grey Cup in '93. But he was just one of those guys that he's from Texas, played in Louisiana. He's got a major accent. But when you knew he was going to have a good game, I'd be like, well, y'all going to be all right? And I said, oh, he's got the Peacock going today, man. Yeah, he's going to be good. If he came in and said, hey, how you doing? I said, we're going to get our ass kicked today. I don't know if I can say that, but we'll just bleep that.
What was the best story on the road for you? Like something that you did. Like, did you go out somewhere?
Oh, yes.
To eat?
No.
No.
One day I'll write a book, Jordan. And this will be one of the stories I put in it. We used to have a training camp in Brandon, Manitoba. And there's 4 players that hung always together. Miles Gorell, who's another big cat, right? He was bigger than me. He was 6 at the time. I think he was 6'8". I'm 6'7". He was 6'8". Stan Michelwasso, I mentioned before. David Black, and myself. So David Black he's a guy that's always, you watch MASH. Everybody seen MASH? You know, MASH, like your Radar O'Reilly can get anything you want. Well, that's Blackie. Black could get cold beverages, put it that way. So he had a deal with one of the breweries, and so we rented a van, and we were veterans now, so we're not going to go to training camp in the team bus. We're too good for that.
Yeah.
We're in our own little van with a nice cooler full of beverages. Yeah. Well, Blackie also has a radar detector. And he says, I'm going to get us there way before the team bus. So, okay, we put the radar detector, and anybody's ever gone to Brandon, you start getting these hills.
Yeah.
And we come over to one hill, and all of a sudden the radar detector goes, bzzoop. Oh, no. Yes. There she is. This female RCMP officer pulls us over. So Blackie's like, Walby, take the radar detector, put it in your pants. I'm not putting the radar detector in my pants. Well, he says, hide it. So, of course, not being the smartest cat, I put it in the glove box, right? So, but anyway, she opens the sliding door and she goes, what's going on here? And we were like, what do you mean? She goes, it smells like beverages. And I said, yeah. She goes, what's with all the beverage cans? And I don't know who, I think it was Miles said, we collect cans. So she goes, well, if you like to collect them, then you won't mind pouring them out. So we're on the side of the #1 highway, pouring all our beverages out as the team bus comes by. And all I see is Cal Murphy through the window going. And needless to say, we all got fined. Yeah, it was. We were making a lot of money back then, but he was not happy with us. I'll tell you that right now. You know, community-owned team, and there's, yeah. But that was one of our. Oh yeah, we tell that story.
How was Cal Murphy as a coach?
He was tough. Cal Murphy was probably the toughest coach. You actually loved him and you hated him at the same time. He could be the most generous guy in the world until you had to get a new contract. And he also could be one of the toughest guys. He believed in full contact. Like practice, like football's different now. Back then it was every day you hit. Every day you were full gear. Every day you had one-on-ones, which is going against the other lineman. Every day. And if you did not have scratches on your helmet, you would stay there until you had scratches on your helmet. We actually played in the '85 West Final against BC again, and we were not that fortunate. We lost that game. And Willard Reeves was our running back, and he's a good running back. But he had been hurt. So the day before the game, we have a live scrimmage. Nobody does that. We did it. We have a live scrimmage to see if Willard's ready to play. They say, hey, Willard's ready to play. We're all beat up now. And we go to the game, and Willard gets kicked out for a fight. I could have strangled that guy, I tell you right now. So, yeah, Cal was tough. Cal was a tough cat, but you know what? He was a winner, and he knew how to bring talent in, and that's one of the nicest things about Cal.
I'm very curious about this, but how is it being an athlete in Winnipeg back in those days?
You know what? I think it was, you have to remember, I told you a story off air before. It's kind of cool when you're coming into Winnipeg, but at the time, this was a lot of jets still going on, right? And I mentioned to Jordan that I was in one of the local watering holes. Seems like all my stories start there. And Timo Solani was with us, and Randy Carlisle was with us, and you know, these are some icons from the hockey world. And Shane Doan, and it was Shane Doan Day yesterday in Arizona for retiring. Well, he was a rookie. I took his hat and threw it in the bar. Well, I guess that's where I was. So yeah, to me it was special. I mean, when you get to come home and play in your home, you know, your hometown. I mean, I grew up. I went to school in St. John's High School, which is, you know, right across the water here. Yeah, it's cool. I think it was cool.
Well, Chris, we ran out of the scarf.
Yeah, ask him some broadcasting questions.
Oh,
You get to that, yeah.
He wanted to cut me off.
I forgot.
Oh. Keep going.
So how?
Is that what you're trying to do? I'm just kidding, man.
So how did you get into TSN radio?
Well, you know what's funny? I started actually not in TSN radio. I actually
CBC.
CBC, and there's a guy that used to broadcast, and his name was Don Whitman. And 1996 was my last year I played. I played 16 years. I played till I was 40 years old, and that's a long time, and maybe too long. Now you see me walk. But you know what? Don Whitman said, hey, why don't you come down and we're going to do something. I'd like you to get you a chance to look at maybe being a color analyst. You know, a guy that tells you what's going on. I didn't want to. I thought I was going to go back and play a 17th year. I had my mind was made out. I was working out all the time. I said, I'm going to play. And he said, well, you know what? The window only opens one time. So come and do this little thing with me. You and me will call a game, a fake game. We'll put it on TV and you just go. And then he said, I think you should be doing this. And I said, I don't think so. And the CB said, we'll pay you this. And I said, I don't think so. And they went, we'll pay you this. Well, you're getting close. And then they went, third time they came back and said, we'll pay you this. And I said, I'm in. And I did it for 10 years. I was very fortunate because I know a lot of people say I got a face for radio. And I ended up going to, then I went to TSN for, well, this will be my 6th year at TSN, working with the likes of guys you've interviewed, Darren Bombing and Troy the Talented Westwood. You know what his nickname is, eh? He's actually a singer. I don't know if you ever Google Troy Westwood, he's called Little Hawk. That's his, I call him, you know, Chicken Hawk. He doesn't like that. He gets very angry at me right now, but very talented young man, very talented.
How do you, like, what goes into preparing your broadcast from 90?
It's a lot of work.
What do you do to prepare?
Well, you know what? It's like you have to have, I have a depth chart, which is a list of everybody that's played. And so if Jordan, you're playing, I got to know what you did last year, what you did this year, you know, how many interceptions you got, or you're a quarterback, how many touchdowns you're throwing. And then I like to have funny stories too. Like I want to know maybe something about what you do. So when you're talking on the radio, you don't want to be just giving fact. No, it's like, unfortunately, it's like going to school sometimes, right? The teacher's like, this is this and this and this, and after a while you just zone out, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice when you put a little humor in it. I think people maybe adapt more, and I think they listen a little better. No offense to all the teachers here.
Like, how is it watching a game now?
You know
Like,
what?
do you still get mad at certain stuff?
Oh yes. Not so much anymore. But you know what? I think I've been away from the game for a while now. When I first left the game, your heart is watching and you're like, what is that idiot doing? I could do that. I could still play. I'm so much better than that piece of, you know. And then you realize, you get out of the chair and you're limping to the kitchen. You're like, no. Yeah, the heart is strong, but the body says no more. So yeah, you get angry, but as time goes on, I think, you know, I'm just more into right now hoping the team can get over the hurdle because, you know, 1990 is a long time to have since, you know, a Grey Cup championship. And, you know, we were fortunate that in, I think it was 10 years, we were in 5 Grey Cups. And, you know, winning 3, but since 1990, that span of, what, 28 years now, going into the 29th year, we have not won. And you made a great comment I heard earlier today about, you know, how is that possible when you only have 9 teams in the league, right? You think the odds would be pretty good, but it shows you sometimes. Yeah. Well, the West has always been tough, right? That's another thing, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be, well, Ottawa won, I guess, a couple years ago, so maybe I should take that back. I don't know.
Like, on a game day, do you watch the game and get excited?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I start screaming.
And get into it?
Oh, I get into it, yeah. As a matter of fact, doing the games with Troy and Darren, I'll sometimes scare them because it'll just be a play and I'll just slam my fist on their broadcasting table and scream a couple things I probably shouldn't scream, which I'll never use here. And I think I catch them off guard so they get a little excited, and sometimes I scare them, they jump, eh? But I have so much fun with these guys because, you know, it's like anything you do, it's your team. You got to have fun with everybody you with, right? Yeah. That's why I have fun with you, man.
Oh, yeah.
And I like your hat. Who likes his hat? That's a nice hat, man. I like that hat. Look at that, eh? Handsome feller. What's that mean?
Okay.
I'll wrap it up.
We gotta go, Chris. It was super fun talking to you.
That sucks.
And it was,
just kidding. I want to bet, because you know what? Yeah, I'm just messing with you.
It was fun hearing your stories, and
thank you, brother.
Maybe off camera I can hear some more.
Thank you, buddy. Really pleasure to be here.
And we have something to give you as a token.
Oh, nice.
Really? You missed? You couldn't be a quarterback.
Oh, that's better than tomatoes.
That's not a football, though. I can throw a football, not a scarf very well.
Oh, that's nice, man.
Yeah, this is a token.
Well, thank you, man.
For saying.
I like that. I'll wear it with pride, man. Very nice.
Maybe on top 90 you can all wear it. I think we gave them all one.
Yeah, well, that'll be fun. I'll compare mine to theirs. Yeah.
It should be the same, but yours is better.
Yeah, that's right. Mine is newer. And you never know what Troy. Troy might have colored it or something like that. He's good with crayons.
Well, thank you, folks, for coming and listening to these wonderful stories. And bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Do something.
Are you trying to block me out now?
Yeah.
It's just going to be a talking scarf for the show, eh?
Yeah. Anybody have any questions that they want to ask?
Yeah, go ahead. Don't be shy. Seriously.
Do you want to come up?
No.
That's okay.
You were an avid hand talker.
Yes.
And I couldn't help but notice, I apologize. Can you tell us the story of your finger?
Well, yeah, I've broken every finger.
Okay.
So, you know, the best one is, Well, this one, every time it broke, and you can see it's like, I'm not doing a Star Trek thing here, but yeah, and it's actually growing out there, but when I only had 2 boys, it was great, because I just like this, and they both came, right? No, I broke that in the game, but back then they would never take you out of the game, so they just kept taping it, and well, of course, after that, it's messed up, but if you look at my other hand, if you look at your ring finger, if I get them straight, see how much my ring finger is taller than my first finger? But on this hand, it's shorter. Because what happened was I was in a game, and Nick Benjamin, who was played right guard, I hit a guy in the face mask, and he hit my helmet with his helmet, or my finger got caught between 2. So it chopped my finger off. So I was sitting there, and I'm looking at my finger, and every time my heart beated, it was shooting blood. So I came to the sideline, and this is one of Cal's stories. Cal looks at me and goes, "Oh, I guess you're out now." And I'm like, "You think?" I got blood going everywhere, right? So he says to me, he goes, "Chris, go to the front of the stadium. We'll make sure you get taken to the hospital." So I'm like, "Okay." So here I am in front of the stadium with just my top off, but I got sweats, my cleats are on. And I got all the monkeys running around going, "Hey, how you doing, buddy? What are you doing out here?" Right? And I'm like, "Oh, God, this is awful. Where's that ambulance? It's got to be coming." All of a sudden, a yellow taxi pulls up. No word of a lie. And he wouldn't let me get in the cab. He says, "No, you're not bleeding all over my cab." So he ran into the stadium and got newspaper. I had to sit on newspaper like a cat. And anyway, I went to the hospital, and Cal had called ahead of time to the surgeon and said, "Just cut my knuckle off here, and you'll be back." Because it was all about getting you back in the lineup. They didn't care. And I said, finally, I just finally said, enough's enough, because I blew a bicep in Birmingham, never fixed it. My knee I blew an ACL, never fixed it. They wanted you back. They wanted you to play. It was different back then. Now it's about safety. Back then, not so much. So I said, "No, I'm not letting you cut it off this time." And so they called a plastic surgeon, and that's my straightest finger now. So it's actually, yeah, you know, back then it's different. Like when you talk about injuries, Jordan, I know we're off camera, but I'll tell you, it's, you got to watch sometimes. Like they talk about helmets, because safety, concussion's a big thing, right? When we played, we would knock ourselves out. You hit somebody so hard, they give you smelling salts, and you just go back in the game, right? And I was in Hamilton one time, and there was a big Samoan guy, and he was their linebacker for Hamilton, and I hit him, bam, head on. And next thing I know, I actually seriously saw stars. And it wasn't until I heard, "Hey, fat bleep, you're in the wrong huddle." I lined up in the Ticat defensive huddle. So I'm standing there like, "What's the play?" And they're like, "Hey, fat, your huddle's over there." And a guy by the name of Mark Campbell kicked me in the backside and said, like, you know, on TV, boots me in the rear end, "Get over there." And you'd think Cal, you know, had said, "Hey, get off the field, you're not 100%, but no, you just stayed in the game." So, yeah, it was different. But that's a great question about the fingers, yeah. Thank you for that.
Anybody else?
So, can I ask a question? So, given all of the stories you have of concussions and that, are you involved in any research?
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I am doing something. I've actually also signed something to donate in the event, you know what I mean, for research, yeah. Because I think back then our helmets were not very good. I mean, I remember we had for those of you who don't know what a football helmet, they have five air channels inside your helmet that were supposed to be cushions. And I remember the guy filling my helmet up, and I could hear the air going out the side. Like it was nothing. I mean, I'd rather put a bike tire in there, you know, it was just not very good. But that was, listen, that was, and then I think about guys that played before me, like Kenny Plain and these guys who had leather helmets, right? So maybe we were lucky ones, but I don't know. Yeah, you know, it's a tough sport. It's a violent sport, but maybe they're doing the right thing by only letting these guys practice once a week with equipment now. I know it's not like when we played, but progress, I guess. I'm just old school. Yeah, big man.
Did your kids play football?
You know what? I have 4 boys, as mentioned. I got 2 firemen now, Carpenter and at Calgary University. But to answer your question, I had One played football at River East. He was very good, but quit because he met a girl. Fell in love. Yeah, it's one of those things, eh? And then I had another son. My second son played, and he played for a team called Crescentwood Grizzlies. And he never played football before. And you know what? Coaching is so important. You have to have the right coach. And he had a coach that was a screamer. And my son, they put him in, because he was big. Like my second son is 6'8". He's taller than me, and he's in very nice shape. You know, he's a, what do you call it, CrossFit thing, right? Anyway, so, you know, he's playing, and they put him at linebacker, and he's on one side of the field, and the back runs to the other side, and he just stood there. And so the coach started yelling at him, like, what are you doing? He goes, well, it didn't come my way. So instead of teaching him that he has to cover the whole field, and he started screaming at him, he came off the field to me and said, Dad, I'll never play, I don't want to play with this guy. And that was it, he quit. So to me, I always say that, you know, it's like any sport, the coach has to really be a man of many or a woman of many talents. You have to be able to nurture. You have to, you know, I always say, you know, you got to make sure you're not knocking the person down to the point where, you know, they don't enjoy the game anymore, right? You got to be constructive rather than destructive, and that's a big thing. And I see it right now. Then, you know, I think the coaching right now with all the papers you have to get and all that stuff, I think it's 100% better. So. Yeah, it's interesting. That was a great question because, yeah, I wish my kids had played because it kind of is a nice little legacy to, you know, say, hey, I see other guys in hockey with, you know, Keith Kachuk, who played for the Jets. Both his boys play in the NHL right now, right? But then I figure, you know what, each his own. We don't want to force anybody to go into something they don't want, right? It's like, Jordan, you're a special guy with, you know, your talent at doing your TV show here, right?
Yeah.
I'm probably going to bring your ratings down.
Well, I'll take it.
I'll take it, man.
I have fun.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That was fun.
That